Hey guys, this is Pam and I'm back with lesson 3. On lesson 3 we're going to learn some basic skills at pattern reading. I have a simple pattern here which I posted on our Facebook page earlier, so you may have already gotten it from there. If not, I'll put it real close to the screen there. You can maybe grab a screenshot of that or something if you don't already have it. And today we're going to make a little base scrubby after we learn our stitch. I'm going to put the pattern right there so I can see it. Okay, so for this lesson you're going to need your yarn, and I've chosen a white cotton yarn. You're going to need your crochet hook, and I've chosen an H hook, but really for this any size hook you have will do, as long as it's not really giant or really tiny. A pair of scissors and the yarn needle to weave our tail in. Okay, so to begin we're going to have to cast onto our hook, and if you haven't watched our video on casting on and making a chain stitch, you will need to do that first. While I will be going slow so that you can kind of follow, that video will help you get the idea about that a little bit better. So if you haven't watched that one, go ahead and do that now. But if you have, go ahead and put your hook through to grab your thread so that you form a little slip knot, and pull your tails and pull the one connected to the yarn to tighten it up. So there you should have the yarn on your crochet hook. Okay, let me get my crochet yarn down there so I can pull up a little bit. Alright, now going to our pattern, if you look at our pattern, our first step is chain 11, and that chain is going to make our foundation chain for our work. Not all crochet starts with a foundation chain, but a lot of it does. We're going to be working in single crochet, and we're going to want to do 10 single crochet across for each row. And so to do that 10 single crochet, we're going to need to start with a foundation chain of 11, because we'll miss one of those chains when we'll do a turn. And so let's go ahead and learn the skill that we learned in the previous video by doing 11 chains. Now the slip knot on the hook does not count as a chain. Alright, so get your yarn on your hand. Remember the way we did it. Let's see, just as a refresher, I'm going to wind it around, put your index finger over it, and you will use that middle finger for the tension. And so we're going to put the hook under the yarn and pull through. That's one chain, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oops, I messed that one up. If you mess it up, go back in. 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. Okay, there we go. So we've got our chain of 11 stitches. So now we're on row 1. We're not going to count this one as a row. And a lot of patterns will read like the pattern you have in front of you. We're going to do row 1 through row 10, and each row gives you the instructions for that particular row. Not all patterns are written this way, but this is where we'll start. So at this point we've got our chain, so now we need to turn and work. We're going to work back into the chain. So row 1 says to single crochet in the second stitch from the hook. Alright, so first of all, let's determine what is the second stitch. The stitch on the hook doesn't count. The stitch next to that doesn't count. It's the second stitch from the hook. So you're going to put the hook into that stitch, right in the middle of the stitch, like that. You're going to put it under, just like you did for your chain. Put it under, grab that yarn, pull it through. Now you've got 2 loops on your hook. Put your hook under the yarn, grab the yarn, and pull it through both. You've just done 1 single crochet. Okay, so now you're going to just go to the next chain. Put the hook right into that chain. You see that? Put the chain under the yarn, grab the yarn, pull it through. Now you've got 2 loops on the hook. Put the hook under the yarn, grab the yarn, and pull it through. Now you've done 2 single crochet. You're going to do that 8 more times because we're going to do, it'll be a total of 9. So you did a single crochet in the second stitch from the hook, and now you're going to do 9 more. So we did single crochet in the second hook from the stitch, second stitch from the hook, and then this is the first of our 9. So 1, 2, and pull up more yarn if you need it. 3, 4, and this one's kind of hard to get into. I kind of messed that one up. 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Okay, so you should have something that looks like this. Everybody got that? And if you don't have it, stop the video. You can take your hook out, pull this yarn, pull it completely out, and use the same yarn over. So if you're part of crochet, you can just rip out stitches and not waste yarn. So if, let's see, if you look here at it, you're going to have, not counting the one that's on the hook, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, so that was the end of, at the end of row 1, we did our 9 single crochet after the first one and the second from the hook. Now it says CH1, that means chain 1. So we're going to chain 1 and we're going to turn the work. Okay, so now we'll be going back in, and if you look really closely, you'll see, it's kind of hard for me to get it in the computer, get it correctly in the screen, but there's like a little dimple that's formed behind each, little dimple that's formed behind each stitch. You're going to be working into those little dimples. Okay, so you're going to be doing the same thing. So now that we've turned, you're going to put the hook, I hope you can see that well, put the hook in that first dimple, grab it, pull through, 1, put the hook in the second dimple, 2, third dimple, 3, 4th, 5, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th. Then chain 1 and then turn. And that's the end of the second row. Now sometimes when you have a lot of rows, pardon me, I'm getting warm here, when you have a lot of rows that are exactly the same the way these are, it's hard to keep up with where you are. So you might want to take an ink pen and do a little check. With this one, it really doesn't matter if we do 9, 5, 6, or 7. It'll just make the work more square and less rectangular if we do the 10 rows. But we could stop anywhere we want to, really. And can you kind of see how that's coming together? Okay, so now we've turned, and again, you see those little dimples in the work. We're going to be working into those. So into the first dimple, oops, and pull through. Now when you go into the dimple, you want to go so that your hook is under both threads of the chain, if that makes sense. So you should see both sides of the chain there. Okay. You could go into only one of them. You see that? Instead of both of them, you could go into the one that's nearest you only. Now that's not wrong, it's just a different stitch. That would be called front loop only, or FLO would be the symbol for that. And that creates a different look, and we're not going to do that here. So you want to make sure you're going under both with each one. So where are we? We've got 1, 2, and 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and chain 1 and turn. So you're getting the idea. You're just going to keep doing this until you have the shape that you want. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's kind of hard to get under that last one. Oops. Chain 1 and turn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, chain 1 and turn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, whoops, 8, 9, last one's always kind of hard, 10, uh-oh, I kind of messed that up, 10, chain 1 and turn. So how y'all doing? Everybody getting it? See what it looks like? You can tell it's getting a little longer. It's sort of starting to form into a square. It'll be a square in a minute if we keep going. And we're just going to keep going. I don't want to bore you. I know this is boring to watch if you're working along. I hope you find it helpful. We'll just keep doing our 10 rows back and forth. 3, so 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, and chain 1 and what? Turn. Yay, you're getting it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, chain 1 and turn. I've kind of lost track of where I am on the rows. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, chain 1, and turn. I think we've got one more to do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. I'm going to call that row 10. Okay, I think that was row 10. And so at row 10, instead of chaining 1 and turning, we did our 10 single crochet. We're now going to chain 20. And what we're going to do is create a little ring to hang our little scrubby up so it can dry. So instead of the chain 1 turn this time, we're going to chain 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Alrighty, you got your 20. Okay, so now the instructions say to slip stitch into the last single crochet of the row. And sometimes patterns are a little bit hard to read because it really is kind of difficult to relay what you're trying to say in your instructions when you're writing a pattern. But a slip stitch is a stitch in which you're just going to put the hook into the work, you're going to pull the thread through both, and then you're kind of tying it off to finish it up. So it says to slip stitch into the last single crochet of the row. Well, the last single crochet of the row is here. I'm going to go a little bit below that. It would actually be the last single crochet of the 9th row and not the 10th row. And I'm going to put the hook there. Okay, you see that? So you just shove the hook all the way through that last single crochet of the 9th row, and you're going to grab the yarn and you're going to pull it through the work and then pull it through the chain you just made, and hopefully you'll do better than I did. Okay, so let's try that again. Okay, let me get my little situation set up here. Okay, so we just pretend like we just finished our chain 20. So we're going to make sure we've got our work hanging correctly. I'm clumsy today. You're going to stick the hook right into the work. You're going to grab the thread. You're going to pull it through the work and then pull it through the loop that's on the crochet hook. Okay, so now you've got one loop on the crochet hook. Now you're going to grab yarn. This is called the tie off. On the instructions it says tie off. Grab the yarn, pull it through there, cut your yarn, and pull it all the way through. Okay? And pull it tight. So now you've tied off that work. Okay? So you have made a little scrubby with a little hook for hanging. So yay you. I hope that went okay for you. I hope everybody was able to finish that off without much trouble. Now that we have our work, you can see our little tails that are left dangling. We want to get rid of those, and you do not want to just cut them. If you do that, your work is going to start to unravel over time. You want to actually weave those in, and that's the last instruction on the pattern. So we have our needle. We're going to thread the needle. You're on your own with that one. There we go. And you're actually, there's no terribly right way or wrong way of doing it. You just want to start working it under threads in the work like that. And I like to weave in a long tail. So you just keep finding little areas of stitches that you can go under. Don't pull it too tight. You'll skew the shape of your work. Okay, and I'm going to do a couple more. Okay, so under there. Alrighty. Now you can cut that. Okay, so you can see by doing that, you're not putting any stress on the, if you were to have just cut that knot right at the knot, just wear and tear or washing it or using it as a scrubby, it could cause that little knot to come undone and then your work would start to unravel. But now because you've got that tail woven in there, that's not going to happen to you. You got one more tail to weave in, so thread your needle. And just find a place to start. Like I said, there's no right way, there's no wrong way. Just weave it in any way you like, any way that looks the most, like it makes the most sense to you. And don't double it, like I just did. Pull that tail through, there we go. And I'm going to do a couple more. Okay, and now you can cut it. And there you have it. You have just completed your first masterpiece. There you go, a little face scrubby. Aren't you proud of yourself? Okay, so let's talk about patterns for a second. Now, if you wanted to make this bigger, obviously, you want to turn it into a pot holder or something like that. You can make it as big as you want to by starting with more chains in the beginning. So you could do, if you wanted to do like 20 single crochets across, which would make it twice as big, you could do that. If you want to do 20 single crochets, remember, you want to start with one more chain than the number of single crochets you want to do. So if you want to do 20 single crochets, start with the chain 21. And then you would do your 20 crochets back and forth across with the chain 1 and the turn always at the end, which is going to create your square. And I think that is about it. So today, for today's lesson, we've learned, we've reinforced our chain stitch, holding our yarn. We've learned our very first stitch, which is single crochet, or abbreviated SC in patterns, chain, abbreviated CH in patterns, and slip stitch. Sometimes you'll see an SS or an SLST for slip stitch, so you'll see that abbreviated different ways. Generally with patterns, there will be a little table somewhere in the pattern that will clarify the abbreviations they're using, because some people, when they write patterns, they use slightly different abbreviations. So there's very often a little table that will kind of guide you as, or remind you what the abbreviations stand for and what they mean. On our Facebook page, I did load today a little crochet cheat sheet, which I found online, and which I think really describes and lays out very simply the different stitches, their abbreviations, and it actually has a little step-by-step over in the far right-hand column on how to do each stitch, which is really helpful because no matter how long you do crochet, you often do have to look up a stitch if you haven't done it in a while, or maybe it's a new stitch you've never done. So there's absolutely no shame in Googling a stitch and getting instructions if you don't remember. But that's it. That's our third class in the series. The next class we will deal with half double crochet and double crochet. All right, guys, thanks for joining in. Let me know you're there. I know I've got about 4 or 5 people who are interested in joining in the sessions. I have created a group on Facebook. That's a private group. You do have to be invited. The people that have expressed an interest so far, I have invited. So if you want to be invited to that, let me know. It's an open group. Anybody's welcome, but I wanted to make it a little bit private so you could post your work and, you know, just feel like it's the few of us in the group talking to each other, and it's not open for everybody in the public to see. But it's called the Cosmic Pepperini Crochet Clutch. So look that up. We will be posting the patterns, the videos on the regular Cosmic Pepperini Facebook page if a group's not your thing. But anyway, if you are joining along, please let me know you are. And we'd love to see some photos of your work, regardless of what it looks like. We like to see what our learners are doing. Thanks so much, guys. Bye.